Hey yo, what up? It's your girl Peacock here. It's late. It's about 11 something. Okay, it's not late. It's kind of early for me actually. But I'm out here trying to wrap my head around a concept. I saw a quote today and it kind of like got me thinking, right? And it's in line with the post I posted earlier. And the funny thing is, right? I made the image. I sat on it for a week because I couldn't get the caption to come out the way I wanted it to. It was like I knew I wanted to talk about the fact that, you need to seek first to understand. But for some reason, I just couldn't find the words. Like the way I wanted to write it out, it wasn't connecting, man. It wasn't making sense. So of course I waited instead of forcing it. Um, Finally, it came out. The caption wasn't the best, but it came out finally, and I'm okay with it. But I wanted to get on live and talk about it a little bit more. And that's part of the reason I do this now. Like I feel like I do love to write. I love to write. But I also feel like I'm better off saying it out loud because then I can walk through my thoughts. Like I can walk you through exactly what I'm seeing here and kind of explain it. It doesn't have to be perfect and polished, and it's not in black and white just sitting there for people to like pick at. So, let me see if I can explain this because I saw another quote afterwards that said, people who judge will never understand, and people who understand will never judge. So the first quote obviously is seek first to understand and then be understood. That's a Franklin Covey thing. Um, I think it's like number 5 of his 7 habits of highly effective people or something to that effect. But basically means that, you need to understand yourself very well first before you try to help people understand you. Like, you need to know you before you can tell people who you are so they can understand you. And that's something that I teach. That's part of my process. I want you to learn you because honestly, I can't teach you to control other people. I don't know how to do that shit. It's not in my power. It's not in your power. I can control me. I can understand me. And then that means that I can help other people understand me as well. So that's where I start from. I start with you. I teach you to learn about you, to observe you, to notice you. And once you figure out all of those things, once you make all those, connections and stuff, then you can start talking to people about, well, I prefer this or I don't like that. And it's in that process when you dig into yourself and uncover all of those emotions, all of those reactions, all of the reasons you do certain things, when you start to dig deep into why those things happen the way that they happen, you start to realize that if this can happen to you, it can happen to anybody. If you can react this way for this particular reason, and maybe it's a big reason, maybe it's not, but if you can react this way, then maybe other people can too. And you learning more about yourself means that you're allowing yourself to see yourself as human. A lot of us look at ourselves like we're the hero. We're just awesome. Those people that are like so full of themselves, they think that, they're amazing. They are beyond reproach. They have never made a mistake in their life. It's always someone else's fault, right? Those people. When you dig into who you are, you suddenly realize that those people are doing everything they can to hold on to their idea of who they're supposed to be. They haven't stood in front of the mirror, like for real, stood in front of a mirror and accepted who they actually are. They want to cling on to that idea of who they think they should be, who they would like the rest of the world to see them as. And that's why when people get criticized sometimes, they react like, oh my God, you're destroying my whole world. I'm going to destroy you so I can protect myself. And that's not actually what's going on, but it's because they're clinging to that sense of identity so tight that they're kind of left with no other recourse but to defend themselves. Sometimes defending themselves looks like them lashing out at you. It looks like them tearing you down so they can look better in comparison. It can be a different number of things. But if you were to learn to understand yourself first, the way you see the rest of the world would change. Absolutely will change. If I look at myself as if I'm the victim, as if things keep happening to me like I have no control, I will forever be waiting for someone else to fix my life for me. Which means every other person that steps foot in my life, I'm going to have some kind of a problem with because at some point or another, you're not going to be doing what I want you to do. That means that would make me happy. So I'm not happy because you didn't do that. Or you didn't make me happy because this is what you keep doing. See, I've been listening long enough to know when you say certain phrases a certain way, I know what your problem is. And then it becomes this journey of self-discovery that I got to lead you on so you can discover it for yourself. Because if I flat plain tell you that you have an ego problem, you're not going to hear ego problem. You're going to hear that I don't like you. You're going to hear that I have a problem with you. You're going to hear that I'm trying to break you down, tear you down. Nope, that's not what I'm doing. So I got to lead you on this journey of self-discovery so you can see it for yourself. I got to ask you the same questions over and over so you can see it for yourself. And gosh, there's no more thankless journey than to be the guide when I'm trying to get you to that place. It's tough. I've been cussed out. I've been told off. I've had people yell at me. But they came to me asking for help. But that also means that when they came to me asking for help, they had a specific idea in mind of what they wanted me to tell them, so it would be okay for them to continue just as they were, because they needed me to say that it was the other person's fault. But look, I'm practical. It takes two hands to clap. Yeah, part of it is probably that other person. Part of it is also yourself. Put down boundaries. Stand up for yourself. Tell people exactly what you're thinking. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't go around the block trying to get to the place on the corner or whatever. Just say it like it is. And let the chips fall where they may. You can't tell people you don't like them and then want them to stay at the same time. You know what I mean? Which means the way you say things are going to change then. You got to say things because you mean it. And then if they're on board, great. And if they're not, okay. You deal with it when it happens. So back to the moment, the importance of this whole topic. If you understand, you're not going to judge nobody. And if you're judging people, it means you don't understand. And judging could look like a lot of different things. It could be, that stupid voice inside your head where you see somebody say, oh, look at the way she's dressed. Oh my God, I can't believe she wore that outside. It could be something as stupid as that. And it is being judgmental. Just because it doesn't come out your mouth doesn't mean it's not judgmental. I am deciding that you are not good enough based on what I see or what I heard or one interaction with you. We forget we are not one thing. We're thousands and thousands of things at the same moment. So how can we ever judge someone? How can we ever know someone, and how can we ever judge someone? Just food for thought, you guys. So think about that, though. If you're judging somebody, you don't understand their situation. And if you understood their situation, you wouldn't judge. And chances are you won't let anyone around you judge either. If you really understand. And that's part of the reason I'm trying really hard to make sure that people around me don't judge anybody else either. Because I understand. And I see the difference. Which means I get to play devil's advocate a lot. You want to complain about somebody? I'm going to ask you the other question. Well, what if they're having a bad day? Give them the benefit of the doubt. Why don't you give them a break? What does this have to do with your life right now? It's not fun, but it's worth it. I've seen a lot of people complain and bitch and moan and just rant about what they can't control, can't have, don't have, wish they had, somebody should have done better, all of that. But when that light bulb goes off in their head and they realize, I never considered that the other person could be going through something too, they suddenly feel badly. They suddenly feel like, wow, you know what? I had no right to judge, or I had no right to decide for them. It's an amazing thing when you understand. Amazing, amazing thing. And that's what I want more of. I want more and more people to understand. I want more and more people to be self-aware. If you know you, and you know what your tendencies are, and you know what your likes and dislikes are, and you know that you have to tell people, you can't assume they figure it out, life becomes easier. Life becomes a lot more black and white, not so much gray. A lot more black and white, meaning to say that if I don't like something, I have an obligation to tell you. And then if you don't like what I told you, okay, we'll deal with that. But I needed to tell you, to give you the chance to respond. And whatever the response is, I'll deal with it. But I needed to tell you. That goes for good and bad, you guys. Don't feel comfortable with something? Say it. You love something that they did? Rave about that. We don't praise each other enough. We judge a lot. We don't praise each other enough. And I would love to see everyone praise each other a little bit more. Talk about the things that other person did for you or happened to notice that made you so appreciative. Lit your world up for a moment. Those memorable things that people do for you. We don't talk about that enough. And that's why most of our relationships, when we look back on, back at the beginning when we're at the end, we sometimes either notice the bad things only, or you sometimes notice the good things only. You hold on because you're remembering the good things. You let go because you're remembering all the bad things. And that's all a choice. But the memories that pop up are also the ones we revisit the most. Most watched movie or most revisited memory or whatever. Those are the ones that get used over and over again. Those are the ones that are easier to recollect. So take a minute and consider it. Take the time to get to know who you are so you can articulate it better. Really dig into where all these, situations are coming, how your attachment style is, whether you're reparenting right now or not, what it is that you're doing to cope with the things that are going on in your life. Dig into all of that stuff, because when you dig into all that stuff, you realize that everyone else is made up of those same things too. I don't know anyone that doesn't have some kind of childhood trauma. Maybe it's not always from parents, but it's something in your childhood. Most of us are still children. We're not adults yet, right? Take the time, get to know people. The more you talk to people, the more you realize that all of us are pretty much the same. We're all a little screwed up. We're all a little crazy. We all want attention. We want to feel important. And the things we do when we don't feel important, that also makes up who we are. But those things we can change. But we got to recognize that that's a problem first. So please seek first to understand, and then be understood. Communicate that stuff out to people so you can be understood. Because when we all understand each other, there's no room for judgment. And that's the kind of world I want to live in. I'll catch you guys again soon. Night.